Lord.
Shibuya.
Kelly's losing it.
I didn't do my
What else
test.
is new?
I didn't do my testing. I'm a little loud. Test. Okay, well, that just leave it in. I'm tested and I'm good.
Oh, God,
A
I love it.
finely tuned machine this podcast is. That was very Yoda of me. Finely tuned machine this podcast is.
Ooh, that was good.
Did I crush that?
Yeah, you did. I like
Thank
it.
you. Wow. Multi-talented. What can I say? Hi, I was going to say hi, patrons. Hi, Odd Fam. Welcome back to Oddities. I'm Cassie.
And I'm Kelly.
And welcome back to Strange Town. And as per usual, all of our social media is in the description. Please follow along. We're doing a lot more just like period on there these days. We're very active. Thank you to everybody also who takes the time to write in. We have so many topics we're making our way through. So stay patient. We will get to yours. And if you have any stories, of course, please share them with us because we love doing the listeners episode and we're starting to build up a couple again.
Yep.
So I don't know that we'll get it in before the end of this year, but I think early next we're going to have ourselves a new
it'd be a
listeners
great
episode.
way to start the new year if we can just
It really
have
would.
a listeners episode.
That'd be fun.
Starting the new year with our listeners. It's poetic.
That is poetic. And we also have a Patreon if you'd like to see a bonus episode every week and us on video and a plethora of other fun benefits.
Us just losing our damn minds. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to see that?
You can also get free merch if you join at certain tier levels, also other things. So check it out. We have a link to that. We also have a website. And of course, we have our merch shop. So check all that out. It's all through the website, too. So if you visit odditiesstaystrange.com, you can access all of it that way as well. Now, how's my bestie? I'm old Greg.
You always resort to old Greg. You know that?
He's my man. I love old Greg.
Your bestie's good. I'm here. Hi. How are you?
We're functioning.
Fresh, funky. How you doing? It's been a week. If you want to know
Everybody
why,
was
subscribe to
throwing
our
up.
Patreon.
Yeah. Okay, well that wraps that up for Kelly.
No, it's sickness hit the Seggy household.
The itis.
I'm the last one standing.
Oh, Michael got it too?
Yeah, no, Michael got it too.
Oh, Nor, that's sad.
Yeah, it's fine. Chicken noodle soup for everyone.
Chimkin noodle. Yep. Poultry for days.
But yeah, it is what it is. Probably due to the fact that we went to Disney.
Oh, could be.
That's literally the only thing. I mean, we don't leave the house.
Although it took a long time to kick in from when you went to Disney. Usually it's like 24 to 48 hours setting in.
Yeah. My family's luck. What are you going to do?
Yeah, who knows?
So, other than that, we're just getting ready for Disney, I wish.
We're going back. Fuck it.
For Thanksgiving and for the oldest to turn 6. And
can't believe it.
Yeah, I know.
Does it fall on Thanksgiving? When is Thanksgiving? What's the date?
The 23rd.
Okay.
So, no.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. And then I can't believe we're basically into December now. So
this year's gone.
It's like, you had told me last week that you're like, yeah, I kind of went overboard and I've done all my research I've done my research on all my topics through the end of the year. And I was like, damn, Cass, like that's impressive. And then
yeah.
I went on to our spreadsheet and I was like, that doesn't seem like a lot, but a lot all at the same time. It's still very impressive. Don't get me wrong on all that, but I was like,
well, thank you.
I was in my head. It seemed like so much more. Like it seemed like, I don't know, 30 topics.
I know, and I gotta be honest.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no. When I did it, I was like, yeah, I like started, and then I was like, God, if I do like 3 more, I'm
You're
going to just
done.
clear it into like the first week of next year. I might as well just do this.
And
And then I was like,
actually,
God, how is it over?
yeah, and actually now I'm trying to get all my topics done for the rest of the year this week. It's
Oh, have
inspired
I
me.
inspired
Yeah,
you? That's great.
and I'm almost there. So, because like
Cool.
it'd be nice just to have that off my, and not that this is like a stressful thing on my plate for the record, but it'd be just nice to have that like off my plate. And it's like, okay,
Yeah,
this
I
is
get
done,
that.
and like we're just ready to go.
Yeah, I
Although
get
I do
that.
dedicate
Totally.
all my Saturdays to my research.
Fair enough. I was thinking, so I took off the week between Christmas and like the New Year for the most part, except for one day where I have to work a half day. And I was totally just going to go ahead and do another ass load of research. I
Yeah.
was just going to be like, pick a day and just like, it's research day.
And like, why
Yeah.
not? And then that's a
Yeah.
good way to start the year. So
The only downside to doing this that I have found is that by the time I circle back on some of these topics,
you
it's been so
forget.
long that it's basically like me relearning about these topics while I'm discussing the topics with you.
But you know what's kind of fun about that? It's like you surprise yourself, like, holy shit, can you believe that happened?
I know. I know.
Which I kind of love. So,
Yeah.
but
So anyway, if anybody's ever wondering why I sound like that sometimes, that's why.
and I said this on the podcast. I'm gonna like divert again. Happy 2-year anniversary.
Thank you. Celebrating 2 years with the Hubs.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
been a
excited
ride.
for you guys. And I
Thank
feel so
you.
special because like I was there.
You were there all day long, baby, and it was an excellent day. And I'm looking forward to we have a low key set of celebrations planned. We're talking about this on the Patreon a little bit too, so I won't get too into it.
It was an excellent weekend. Get it right.
It was an excellent weekend. Everything
Yes.
start to finish was excellent, despite some outside things that could have made it not very excellent. And
Yeah.
it still ended up being a really, really wonderful weekend. And so, what more could I ask for? And yeah, on my side of things, this was, you know what? I think it was just like something in the air this week. This was an absolute chaos at work for me this week.
Yeah.
And then I had a bunch of other shit going on. We did paint the other guest room, and it looks wonderful.
I
And
need
so
to
now
know what color you did.
it's the same as the other one. We had
Oh,
enough
okay.
paint left over, so we just kept it neutral because we were like, yeah, this works.
Oh, why not?
And I actually quite like the color. It's cool because it's like depending on the light and the time of day, it either skews more brown, tan, or it can skew gray. So it's like a very
Okay.
interesting color. It's pretty cool. It's a nice neutral. And I had to get some like blood work done. I had like a bunch of other things happening. Work was insane. But here's the fun thing that I did last night. So Corey's out of town. My parents came to visit while he was gone, and they helped with the back room and everything. And anyway, last night, as we know, I volunteer sometimes at the local theater, and I got to see the new Hunger Games movie, and it was really great. So highly recommend if you guys like that series. If you've read the book, for me, it had been several years since I read the book. From what I recall, though, they were like stayed quite true to it. And also the guy that plays, young President Snow is a babe. So, which gives me all kinds of conflicted feelings because his character is just absolute garbage. But
Yeah.
here we are, and that's kind of what I got. I too am preparing for. Oh, here's something about Thanksgiving. So we're having like 8 people total, right? I was aiming for like a 12 or 13 pound turkey, and our grocery store, like a lot of grocery stores, does a thing where if you rack up enough points, you basically get your turkey for quote unquote free.
Yeah.
Even though if you want to look at it in the right way, it's actually the most expensive turkey you've ever purchased because you had to buy a shitload of groceries to get to that point. But regardless, they only had huge fucking turkeys left. The smallest one that I could find, it's like 18 and a half pounds.
Okay, so we always get like between an 18 to 20 pound turkey. It doesn't matter how many people we have.
Aside from this one turkey, the rest of the turkeys were between 23 and 25 pounds.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing? That's a huge turkey. So I'm going to get a little creative. I think I'm going to make some turkey soupy. Maybe, you know what else I want to try that I've seen online a bunch is I want to try making stuffing waffles.
Ooh.
You literally just take a bunch of the leftover stuffing and put it on a waffle maker and you like smash it.
I love that. There's a lot you can do. I can like give you so many options.
Turkey pot pie. It's the tricky part is me making things safe for me.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the tricky part with all of this. But I personally, my favorite part of Thanksgiving is in fact the day after Thanksgiving when you make Thanksgiving sandwiches. But now I think I'm going to make Thanksgiving fucking stuffing waffle ass sandwiches.
That sounds delightful.
Right? Like, just walk with me for a second.
Oh, God. You know what sounds really good to do?
What?
And I don't know why. I've never done this before, but I just really want to, at this point in my life, eat turkey, either stuffing waffles or sandwiches, and watch every Friends Thanksgiving episode.
That sounds like a good plan, yes.
Anyways, continue.
That's fine. What I'm picturing is like maybe an open face deal, right? So like you've got your stuffing waffle, put like a little bit of cranberry down if you're into that shit, some mashed potatoes on that shit, and then your turkey, and you put gravy all over that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you just like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's just like art.
It is
We
art.
love it. We're here for it. So that's my plan.
We love turkey leftovers. And you can do a lot with turkey leftovers. You can do turkey sandwiches. You can do turkey tetrazzini. You can do turkey soup.
Yep.
We take the turkey carcass and make turkey bone broth, and then I
bone
can
broth.
it.
Yep.
So then we have it for the entire year.
Yep.
Like, it's just endless.
Like much to do with turkey.
We use a lot with it. You could freeze it too.
We could freeze it. We're gonna give doggy bags as well to people to take home.
You know what I saw one year, and I have yet to be able to actually find these disposable, and like literally, or I guess it's like, you know those disposable baking tins,
like the foil ones.
Yeah,
that's what we use. Yeah,
yeah, but apparently they have cupcake ones, and I saw it on Pinterest one year. As a host, you get those, and then it's like as for a doggy bag, you can put your turkey in one, and then your mashed potatoes in another, stuffing in another, your cranberry, whatever your whole thing is, and then there's a lid for it, and then when people go home, they can just stick it in the oven to heat up. Everything's sectioned out. There you go.
Oh, very smart.
Is that not genius?
That's very smart.
But I've yet to find this.
I've never seen those. I got to be honest with you. I've never once seen them either. I do the, I do the foil ones that essentially look like what you get at like a restaurant.
Yep.
For like, yeah, that's what I do. And I'm like, here, bitches, take what you want.
Leave.
So.
What's happening?
I got my blood taken this week, and now I have a big ass bruise, and my sweatshirt's
They did not do well then.
No, they.
The old phlebotomist in me is pissed that you're bruised.
Yeah, they whoopsie poopsied, but that's okay. So anyway, when I bend my arm a certain way, it gets like a little funny. But anyway, that's what I've got going on from my side of the equation. The one Thanksgiving like tradition that I always look forward to is watching the parade, not because it's good, but because we like to make fun of everything and then also watch for the one rocket that falls over during the routine, because there's always one. No regrets. So anyway, that's my favorite Thanksgiving tradition, is essentially looking for the one rocket that falls over during the routine, because there's always one.
There's always one. It can never.
There's
be
always
perfect.
one.
Yeah.
No. And so anyway, now that I've revealed that I am in fact Satan himself, shall we carry on with our
Satan
show?
Himself.
Thank you.
But yes, let's, and I mean, we've hit 13 minutes. It says 14,
but
I'm sure it's actually 13. So, anyways, thanks to that break. Anyways, shall we?
Let's party.
Woohoo!
So, I can't remember who went first last time.
I can't remember either, actually.
I don't know. Mine's like a little bit longer. How's this one for you?
I would say it's medium to short.
Okay. Would you like to start, or do you want to wrap us up with medium?
I'll wrap us up.
All right. So I've got today's topic is brought to you by my coworker Ryan. Thank you, coworker Ryan.
Thank you, coworker.
Coworker Ryan. I'm covering Numbers Stations. This was interesting. You might ask me, what on earth is a Numbers Station?
Yes.
And today I will be telling you. So it's a shortwave shortwave radio station characterized by broadcasts of these numbers, which are believed to be addressed to intelligence officers operating in foreign countries. It's like an espionage thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is like big spy energy. So Most of the identified stations use speech synthesis to vocalize numbers. Sometimes they do like something called phase shift keying, sometimes frequency shift keying, sometimes they use Morse code, but usually it's just like these numbers that are being read. And most stations have set time schedules or scheduled patterns that these are broadcasted. But sometimes they don't have a discernible pattern and it's just like random times. But regardless, um, they've been reported since the start of World War One.
Wow.
So we're going way back. They continue to be in use today. Some like amateur like radio enthusiasts, they have like an interest in monitoring and classifying these stations, and they've like assigned nicknames to the stations to represent certain like quirks or origins. So anyway, there's something called the Conet project. It might be Kone. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but anyway, it's basically this project that's a series of notes, and they've compiled recordings of these transmissions. And it was reported that the Archduke Anton of Austria, in his youth during World War I, used to listen to transmissions, writing them down, and passing them on to Austrian military intelligence. These number stations were most abundant during the Cold War era, which is basically what I was expecting going into this. I was like, yeah, this like reeks of the Cold War. According to like an internal Cold War era report from the Polish Ministry of the Interior, there's number stations known as DCF 37, DFD 21, and they transmitted from West Germany beginning in the early 1950s. Many stations from that time frame actually continue to broadcast, and some longtime stations have been taken over by different operators. So the Czech Ministry of the Interior and the Swedish Security Service have both acknowledged the use of number stations by Czechoslovakia for espionage, with declassified documents proving this statement. There are some responses that have been received from number stations by shortwave listeners who sent reception reports to stations that identified themselves or to entities that the listeners believed responsible for the broadcasts, which is the expected behavior of a non-clandestine station. There is one station that's one of the most well-known, and it's the EO3. It's also known as the Lincolnshire Poacher. It's thought to have been run by the British Secret Intelligence Service. It was the first broadcast from Bletchley Park in the mid-1970s, but later was broadcast from RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus. RAF meaning Royal Air Force, I would assume. Yeah. Anyway, it ceased broadcasting in 2008. In 2001, the United States tried the Cuban Five on the charge of spying for Cuba, and that group had received and decoded messages that had been broadcast from the, quote, Atención number station in Cuba. So let's talk about that spy case a little bit, because this is kind of a big, famous one.
Yeah.
So the Atención station of Cuba became the world's first number station to be officially and publicly accused of transmitting to spies. It was the centerpiece of a U.S. federal court espionage trial, and following the arrest of the WASP network of Cuban spies in 1998. The U.S. prosecutors claimed that the accused were writing down number codes received from Atención using handheld shortwave receivers, and then they were typing the numbers into laptop computers to decode spying instructions. It's really smart when you think about it. I'm not surprised. This totally makes sense to me. The FBI testified that they had entered a spy's apartment in 1995. They'd copied the computer decryption program for the Atención numbers code, and they used it to decode Atención spy messages, which the prosecutors unveiled in court. And then the U.S. government's evidence included the following 3 examples of decoded messages. So one was, quote, prioritize and continue to strengthen friendship with Joe and Dennis. Who the fuck they are, I don't know.
Yeah.
2, quote, under no circumstances should agents German nor Castor fly with BTTR or another organization on days 24, 25, 26, and 27. BTTR is the anti-Castro airborne group Brothers to the Rescue. And then the last message is, quote, congratulate all the female comrades for International Day of the Woman. Love that.
Wow, okay.
So in more recent times, not like crazy recent, I'm talking about like the early 2000s, but in 2001, Ana Belén Montes, a senior U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency analyst, was arrested and charged with espionage. The federal prosecutors alleged that she was able to communicate with the Cuban intelligence directorate through encoded messages, with instructions being received through encrypted shortwave transmissions from Cuba. 2006, we had Carlos Alvarez and his wife Elsa, and they were arrested and charged with espionage. It was stated that the defendants would receive assignments via shortwave radio transmissions. In June of 2009, the U.S. similarly charged Walter Kendall Myers with conspiracy to spy for Cuba and receiving and decoding messages from the broadcast from a number of stations operated by the Cuban Intelligence Directorate to further that conspiracy. Up to 2010, it was discovered by the FBI that one way that Russian agents of the illegals program were receiving instructions was via coded messages on shortwave radio. It's been reported that the U.S. has used number stations to communicate encoded info to persons in other countries. And there are also claims from the State Department operated stations such as the KKN-50 and KKN-44 are used to broadcast similar numbers messages or related traffic. But those stations have been off the air for quite a while now.
Okay.
Interestingly, North Korea brought back numbers. Yeah, it brought back numbers broadcasts in July of 2016 after hiatus for a while. Like there's like, I don't know, they like shut it off in like the early, I don't know, maybe 2000, and then it brought it back. And some analysts have speculated that them bringing it back in 2016 is an example of like psychological war. 16 broadcasts occurred in 2017 also, including unusually timed transmissions in April of that year. So essentially, at this point, it's been long speculated and argued that these stations operate as simple and like a foolproof method for government agencies to communicate with their spies. I would say at this point that's been like very pretty much well proven by all of these different cases. It's interesting to me that like a lot of these have to do with like Cuba in particular. North Korea, it was interesting to me too. But anyway, they do try to do like what they call attempted jamming. So basically, like these number stations transmissions have been the target of like intentional jamming attempts. Despite the targeting, many number stations continue to broadcast relatively unhindered. Like some historical examples of jamming include the E10 station, which was thought to originate from Israel's Mossad intelligence agency, being jammed by the, quote, Chinese music station, which was thought to originate from the People's Republic of China and usually was used to jam, quote, Sound of Hope radio broadcasts, which were anti-CCP in nature. So, like, they do, there's also, I guess, kind of this, like, radio warfare, if you will, where they try to jam these stations so that the information can't get out to, like, these spies or whoever it is that they're trying to contact, which is interesting. I'm surprised that like they didn't get better at that, because you can jam radio stations, I think, relatively easily. What do I know? But yeah. Anyway, there's been like
it seems relatively easy,
right? Yeah, like on paper. So monitoring and chronicling like transmissions from number stations has actually been a hobby for shortwave and ham radio enthusiasts from as early as in the 1970s. So like from the 70s, people are just like, I'm gonna just like track this shit for fun, which I love. And a lot of times these enthusiasts will give them like will give the radio stations like nicknames having to do with some sort of distinctive element. So they've kind of done like a letter system. So like if they start with like if they decide to call a radio station E something or other, the E indicates that it's broadcasting in English. G would be German. S indicates that it's a station broadcasting in Slavic.
Okay.
V is like a broad term for all other languages. M would be Morse code. X would be like that they're transmitting in something else like polytones instead of like words, or just some unexplained broadcast that might not actually be number stations, which is a whole other thing, because it's like, well, why do those exist? Yeah. But and there's like one in particular that's pretty famous. It's called like the buzzer. That's an example. It's Russian. It's called the buzzer because it broadcasts short, monotonous, like buzz tones, repeating at a rate of approximately 25 tones per minute, 24 hours a day. And sometimes, every once in a while, the buzzer signal is interrupted by a voice, and the voice transmission is in Russian.
Interesting.
It's kind of eerie and spooky, right?
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? Do you remember, like, did you ever watch Lost? Like,
yeah.
Back when that show? Yeah. And do you remember there was just like this radio station that was reading out, like, I think it was numbers
Yeah.
and shit? That's what it reminds me of. But anyway,
Yeah.
so the buzzer is a famous example of it. And it's been something that like enthusiasts have studied. And there are like a handful of relatively unusual transmissions across different stations that have happened. Like, you can hear sometimes distant conversations and like background noises. This is the case. This is the case for the buzzer, suggesting that in fact the buzzing tones are not generated like internally, but they're transmitted from a device placed behind a live and constantly open microphone.
Okay.
Because of the occasional fluctuating pitch of the buzzing tones, it's supposed that the tones are generated by like a tone wheel, and that's used in like an organ, which was strange to me. It's also possible that a microphone may have been turned on accidentally, of course, but like there was, for example, November 3rd, 2001, a full-blown conversation in Russian was heard, which is translates to IM 143 not receiving the generator oscillator. That comes from the hardware room, which, like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I can't think of a spy situation in which that would apply, but whatever. I'm not receiving the generator oscillator. That comes from the hardware room. Although I guess that could all be coded. In 2010, September of 2010, several unusual broadcasts were also observed, and they included portions of the buzzer being replaced with extracts from Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake.
Oh.
There have been phone conversations that were transmitted and recorded by a listener for a period of about 30 minutes. You can find the conversations online. They seem to be in Russian. They mention the, quote, brigade operative officer on duty. They mention something called debut, a word for Russian which means hope, and it's both a noun and a female name. There's some other names for like a town in Crimea, a volcano. Anyway, and meanwhile, the whole time, the buzzing tone can be heard very faintly in the background of these calls, further suggesting that the buzzing is generated by something externally. And there have been throughout time, like some other very strange ones. Like there was like various signals with like spectrogram encoded images these are on different broadcasts, but there have been reports of like songs airing on a station's frequency, many of which were connected to like internet things, like Gangnam Style.
Oh.
But some researchers attribute these broadcasts to like broadcast pirates hijacking and spamming the frequency, basically. So it's pretty interesting stuff overall. I'm very much in the school of thought that like it's very probable that this could be, especially back in the day, like used for espionage purposes. At this point, I don't know if they just left them running and there's not really anything. I don't know if at this point it's enthusiasts who have tapped into it and they're just keeping them alive for fun. You know, I don't know. But I could totally see where it would be the case that this could be used for like reconnaissance and that type of thing.
Yeah.
So. Anyway,
it's
super
very interesting.
Yeah, and it's really smart. And I am like incredibly tempted after this to try and buy like a ham radio and listen to this shit. Although I gotta be honest, if I'm listening to something and normally it's just a buzzing tone and then all of a sudden I hear somebody speaking, I would shit my pants. It's like freaky and I don't know why.
Is it the spirits talking to you?
Yeah, well I got the Ouija board right here, so probably. So yeah, something about this, and when coworker Ryan wrote in with this, he said, you know, it's something about it is just kind of eerie, and I totally agree. Like the concept of
it is.
And somewhere somebody's broadcasting this shit that makes no sense to me. Like it's just kind of wild. So anyway,
there's something about it that I don't know. It gives you an interesting. I don't know. I don't know how to
behind the curtain.
Yeah, and there's like a specific feeling that I can't put my finger on that it's making me feel.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know. It's like when you turn on a radio and you just expect to hear static, and then all of a sudden something comes through. It's like it's just spooky.
Yeah.
It's the idea of, oh, there's somebody else on the other end of this, and I have no idea who they are. And I think to me that's what makes it weird.
Yeah. I
guess. I don't know, but anyway, it was super interesting. There's a lot more to it, like a lot of technical stuff. So if anybody's interested, I mean, feel free to read more. But I didn't want to get too heavy into that side of things. But that's the Numbers Station. So thank you, coworker Ryan. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you, coworker Ryan. Very
Yeah, that was a good
interesting.
one.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Thank you. So,
So
what have you?
I have star jelly or star
I'm so
slime.
excited. What is star jelly or star slime? It sounds
So
fake.
this is brought to us by cousin Nathan. Thank you, cousin Nathan.
Thank you, cousin Nathan.
It's also sometimes called astral jelly or astro mixin.
Sure.
It's a gelatin substance that's sometimes found on grass and is less commonly sometimes found on branches of trees. And according to folklore, it is deposited on the earth during meteor showers.
Stunning. I love that idea.
It is described as a translucent or grayish white gelatin that tends to evaporate shortly after fallen from the sky.
Interesting.
Yes. Here's some examples that I have, or apparent examples that I found.
Oh, okay. All right.
On November 11th, 1846, a luminous object estimated at 4 feet in diameter fell at Louisville, New York, leaving behind a heap of foul-smelling luminous jelly that disappeared quickly, according to Scientific America.
Interesting. Okay.
In 1950, 4 Philadelphian policemen reported the discovery of a domed disc quivering jelly.
Oh.
That is quite alien the description, boogers. Right?
Domed disc quivering? I hate that they said quivering.
The word quivering jelly just...
Does that make you nauseous? It makes me nauseous. It really
makes me nauseous.
Okay.
When they tried to pick it up, it dissolved into an odorless, sticky scum. Again.
Same. Why do we need to... Yeah, this is okay.
The site was located near 26th Street and Vere Avenue, within a half-mile of the Philadelphia Gas Works, leading to the possibility that it was some type of industrial discharge.
That's what... Okay. All right.
This incident actually inspired the 1958 movie The Blob.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh, what a fun little delicious factoid.
Yeah. On August 11th, 1979, Sybil Christian of Frisco, Texas, reported the discovery of several purple blobs of goo on her front yard following a meteor shower. A follow-up investigation by reporters and an assistant director of Fort Worth Museum Science and History discovered a battery reprocessing plant outside the town where that they believe that the batteries resulting in a purplish compound byproduct was the reason for it.
I wonder how they would have gotten there, like to her lawn from there. Wind?
So many questions. Yeah, like
right.
And how hard was the wind that carried it?
Was there like an explosion of batteries? But
yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
She tried to clear them off her lawn with a garden hose, apparently.
Sure, why not?
On December of 1983, a grayish white oily gelatin fell on North Reading, Massachusetts. Thomas Grinley reported finding it on his lawn and on the streets and sidewalks, dripping from gas station pumps as well.
Ew. A lot of this I will say this, like the common thing between all of this is like gas stations, factories. Like there's several instances here where I kind of led to believe that this is more of an industrial thing.
On several dates in 1994, I hate this term.
Oh God, here we go.
A gelatin rain fell on Oakville, Washington.
Was it quivering?
Oh, I hate this so much. Okay. On the evening of November 3rd, 1996, a meteor was reported flashing across the sky of Kempton, Tasmania. My freaking brain. Tasmania. Just outside Hobart, and the next morning, white translucent slime was reportedly discovered on the lawns and sidewalks of the town.
Curious now that we're going global.
Yeah. In 1997, similar substance fell in Everett, Washington area.
Okay.
Star jelly was also found in various Scottish hills in the autumn of 2009.
Wow, that's recent. That's more recent than I would expect.
Yep. Blue balls of jelly rained down on a man's garden in
blue balls.
Dorset in January of 2012.
Wow.
The most recent goes all the way to 2015.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And this was Chris Packham showed a specimen of star jelly, and it sent it to the Natural History Museum of London for a DNA analysis by David Bass, who confirmed it was from actually a frog.
Oh, ew! What was it? Mucus of some kind? Ew.
We'll get to that in a minute. So, it's like what I find amazing, and you already just said it. It's interesting. It kind of went global.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been many reports of it, like kind of all over the US and kind of all over the place. So, what is it? Well, it seems to be, there's a lot of theories.
Okay. All right.
There have been many reports of star jelly for centuries. Literally dating back to the year 1340.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of it goes back to the same thing. Well, at least my research, everyone, like, the same denominator or the same fact was explanations that range from it being remains of frogs, toads, or worms.
Ew. Oh my God.
The byproducts of canobacteria to being the fruiting bodies of jelly fungi or masses of amoeba called slime molds.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it actually from meteor showers, or is it a coincidence that this happens during meteor showers? Is the question. I'm going to lead towards that it's a coincidence. Also, I do find it interesting that the other common denominator here is that they happen. It seems like it's happening around factories.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a very big factor there too. I don't know if that has something to do with it. Also, maybe the frogs are being affected by the factories.
Maybe.
And letting off a little
Poor
bit
little
more mucus
dudes
that need to be let off. I don't know.
One does not know.
The one theory that states is star jelly is most likely formed from the glands of frogs and toads.
Okay.
Birds and mammals eat those animals. And then they come in contact with moisture, swell, and distort, leaving a vast pile of jelly.
Dude. Decomp is a weird time.
Right? So, ultimately, I believe that star jelly may actually be frogs.
Maybe so.
Went into this thinking and hoping that star jelly was star jelly.
Well, yeah, I gotta be honest. I was rooting for that, but I don't think that's the case.
I really don't think that's the case. I went into this very much thinking of Animal Crossing.
Okay.
I'm going to be really straightforward here. And I realize I've had a very delusional week, so bear with me on this.
Okay.
You know,
the delusion is strong this episode.
I don't know when the last time you played Animal Crossing is, but you know, when you're in Animal Crossing and you wish on the shooting stars.
I didn't know you could wish on them.
Oh, yeah, you could totally wish on them. And then the next day you have star fragments on your beach and you can collect them and make things out of them.
Oh, cool. Okay.
You just learned something new. Anyways.
I did.
This is what I just kept imagining the whole time while researching this.
Oh my God, I love that.
So, I was a little disappointed when I came across the frogs.
I mean, I would be too. I was picturing there was a game a long while back, Mario Galaxy, and you could run around, you could collect little star bits, and that's what I pictured.
Yeah.
But they're not gelatinous in nature. I
feel like this is also a very good time to be vulnerable with the Odd Fam and let them know I don't like Jell-O.
We're coming clean.
Yeah, I kind of have a fear of Jell-O, and so talking about gelatin this much has not been fun for me.
You're a brave lady. That was a lot of gelatin.
The thought of items. Gelatinous rain, friends.
Not good. Not comfortable. We're not comfortable.
No. The other thing, a jelly fungi, that is an interesting thing, and those photos, I could see where that could be mistaken as
well,
a jelly slime or star slime.
Yeah, a fungi will do some crazy shit depending on the variety that you're dealing with. Bacteria, you mentioned cyanobacteria, I believe.
Yeah.
And then also just like amoeba clumps and whatnot. It's so I mean there are very strange things that exist within our biological like definition that we understand. That the thing. Would you like to know my opinion or would you not?
No, I do.
I'm under the school of thought that it's maybe not any one singular of these things, but rather a compilation given how
so many.
Given a couple of factors, right? Like how widespread this is. We're across continents at this point.
Yeah.
Certainly different states and definitely different countries. And beyond it, all of the definitions and like descriptions of it, there's similarities, but they all vary like ever so slightly.
Yeah.
So like to me, it's like, okay, sure, it could definitely be the frogs in one region. Maybe in another region it is some sort of like industrial runoff that's combined with something. Maybe it's the fungi, maybe it's a bacteria, so it could be, to me, I don't think this is one where we can pick one singular answer.
No. I do think it's funny that all of the research that I was reading and like coming to, I love that they all just collectively are like, it's frogs.
Frogs. I feel bad for the little dudes.
It's like, can you guys stop blaming the frogs? They didn't do anything mean.
That actually makes me laugh because we get little, very tiny frogs.
Oh, the little baby frogs.
We get tiny baby frogs on our little patio in the backyard during the summer months and things like that. And
do they leave back jelly?
They don't. One of them peed on Corey, which like he deserved it because he picked it up and wouldn't leave the fucking thing alone. But the thing that makes me laugh is one time we were taking the dogs out for like nighttime potty before we were going to close up for the night. And Donut walks over one, sniffs it, and then picks it up in her mouth and she's just like held it. And then she dropped it. And
this is my pet now.
And the poor frog was like stunned. It was like, what the fuck was that?
I have been chosen and I don't know what to do.
What do I do now? We were like, damn it, Donut, leave the thing alone.
But I want a pet, Mom and Dad, and I chose it. I picked it up.
We got her a pet. Her pet is Boo. Oh, I have actually some exciting news.
No, save it for the next one. Save it for the next one.
Okay. You know what I'm going to share.
I was about to say it, and then I was like, no, you never save anything.
You're right, I never do, so I'll save that for the next one. You called me out. Well, I loved this. This was fun. Star Jelly was not what I expected.
Yeah, it had a big twist there. I really enjoyed this. It was very interesting to Nathan. Just read, and I've been saving it for a while, and I'm glad that I did.
So, yeah, I'm glad you pulled that one out. That was a good one. That was wow. What a fun episode this was. This was like a very
educational,
very distinct, rather technical episode for us. Love it. Yeah. We love to see it. Wow. Well, kids, let us know what you think about either of these. I think we've got ourselves some espionage, and I think we've got ourselves
some frogs.
Some frogs
and fungi,
and possible other things. And of course, until next time,
stay strange.